Hey there, my wedding planning friends, and welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, thank you so much for clicking on my video. I'm Emily Summer. I'm a wedding planner based in Montana, and I make weekly videos on wedding planning tips and advice. So this period of time between like Thanksgiving and around Valentine's Day is what we in the wedding industry refer to as engagement season. And if you clicked on this video, you are likely recently engaged. So first off, congratulations. Welcome to the crazy world of wedding planning. This video is for you if you just recently got engaged and are kind of clueless and just embarking on this journey of wedding planning. So if you just recently got engaged over the holidays during these winter months, the first thing that you are wanting to do is decide if you want a long engagement or a short engagement. So you're basically in this off season and basically trying to determine whether you are wanting to try and plan a wedding right away and get married this upcoming summer or fall, or have a little bit of a longer engagement and get married in 2026, which feels crazy to say that. But that's kind of the first decision that you want to make, because if you are thinking about getting married this upcoming summer and what we refer to as like wedding season, spring and summer months, you're going to need to be making decisions and taking action pretty much immediately. So if that stresses you out, if you don't want to go full force into wedding planning, consider having a little bit of a longer engagement and looking into next year for planning a wedding. Isn't to say that it is impossible to plan a wedding this year. Just know that you're going to have a little bit more limited options when it comes to vendors, and you're also going to be, like I said, kind of hitting the ground running and needing to make decisions and make plans immediately. So once you've kind of determined your plan of attack there, the next thing that you really want to do, and I know it's not a super fun part of wedding planning, but that is to sit down and talk with your partner about a budget and to discuss what your priorities are. So before you're making any decisions about weddings, booking anything, signing any contracts, you need to understand what you are able to do financially, what is reasonable financially, what you can cap out on for an overall wedding budget, as well as going in and categorizing that budget. I've done several videos on wedding budgets, so definitely check those out to kind of give you a little bit more of a step-by-step process on creating that wedding budget and everything that you should be budgeting for. So that will be step number one, as well as discussing with your partner what your priorities are, as this might affect where you're allocating certain amounts of money within your overall wedding budget. Next, get your ring insured. This is something that you should be doing right away. If you are very newly engaged, make sure that if your partner hasn't already insured your ring upon purchasing it, that you have ring insurance. So before you're booking any vendors or securing anything contractually, make sure that you're coming up with a guest list and figuring out as close to an approximation of how many guests you're going to have before you're able to secure a venue or book any other vendors. So you're gonna need this number to know what's going to work space-wise, as well as incorporating that into your overall budget too, and understanding what's going to make sense from a financial standpoint, as well as any accommodations, capacities, anything like that when it comes to booking your venue and future accommodations for that. If you are wanting to get married this year in the year 2025, primarily wedding season, which is like May to October, like I said, you're going to want to hit the ground running. So if that's you, if you're trying to get married this year, number one is you want to secure your venue. This is probably going to be the trickiest part, as a lot of the 2025 year has been booked from 2024. So things are booking out a lot further in advance that we are seeing in the wedding industry as a whole. So securing your venue is going to be number one before you're booking anybody else. So make sure that you can secure a date and find a venue that is available if you're trying to get married right away. So the next thing that you want to do, which is a little bit out of order of how we would normally go through the wedding planning process, but you want to start shopping for your wedding dress ASAP. Depending on where you're shopping, some stores can take up to a year to get a dress in. Here in my shop, it takes about 4 to 6 months depending on the designer. So that's something that you want to make sure that you're getting in on right away as well, to make sure that you can get a dress in time for whatever this wedding date or wedding month that you are considering having, and be able to have alterations in the time frame that you need and everything. Then you want to start securing and booking all of the rest of your vendors. So usually there's kind of a timeline that you can go through when it comes to booking your vendors and not having to do everything all at once. However, if you are in that boat of trying to get married this year, you're basically gonna wanna knock out all of your vendors right away as quickly as you can in this kind of early stages. That way you know you have everyone secure, and then you can start working through your personalized details and kind of those smaller DIY crafts and other little decor and detail pieces that will go into your wedding. But you want to make sure that you have your main vendors, major players for your wedding secured and booked so that you can make sure that they are available for your wedding date. This might change depending on what your priorities are. However, this is the order that I recommend booking your vendors in. So you already have your venue at this point. The next vendor that you should secure is your catering. This goes for both food and beverages. If those are two separate vendors, then make sure that you're doing them at the same time and securing them early. Some caterers do offer alcohol catering as well, or maybe that's already provided within your venue. So just make sure that this is the next step. At this point, I would suggest securing any rentals that you might need next. So if you need additional tables, chairs, benches, linens, that kind of a thing, a lot of that has likely already been booked for this season. So make sure that you're reaching out to any rental companies to secure these items next. I would secure your photographer and videographer. Typically there's a decent amount of options for this, so this isn't something that will necessarily book out, but you want to make sure you have that secured pretty early, especially if there's someone that you have your eye on or a few people. And just kind of keep in mind that you may not be able to have your first choice, maybe not even your second choice, as like I said, things get booked up really quickly. So secure your photographer and or videographer next. After that, I would secure your florist and your musical entertainment. So whether that is a live band or a DJ, make sure those are next. Followed by transportation company, if that is something that you are needing to have shuttles to and from, like a hotel to your reception space, or if you're having ceremony in one location and reception in another. After that, I would secure your dessert. So whether this is going to be a wedding cake or cupcakes or dessert variety, whatever you're doing there, make sure that you are securing a bakery for whatever you plan to have for wedding desserts, as well as your hair and makeup. If you are having a destination wedding or a wedding where a lot of guests are going to be traveling from out of state, out of town, and will need lodging and hotel accommodations, you also want to make sure that you are securing a room block pretty early in the planning process. So basically, as soon as you have a wedding date and a venue, I would go in and make sure that you are securing those room blocks for your guests. If you are planning on doing a wedding this upcoming summer or wedding season, I would forego a save the date and just kind of save your money on that printing cost and that postage cost. Usually save the dates will be sent out like 9 to 13 months before a wedding date. So if you're getting married within the next 9 months, I would just forego doing a save the date and I would send wedding invitations early. So usually wedding invitations will go out like 2 to 3 months. I would send your wedding invitations maybe 4 to 5 months in advance and make sure that you have a wedding website built out with all of the information that guests might need. So obviously the location and time of your wedding, your registry information if you're registering, hotel accommodations, transportation information, things to do in the area if it is a destination wedding, and make sure you have that built out pretty quickly and early on as well. Obviously, you want to make sure that you are reaching out to your kind of VIP guests when securing your date and make sure that that is going to work for all of them, since you aren't sending out that save the date really far in advance. A lot of people may already have plans for this summer and a lot of things on the calendar. So just make sure that you are communicating that in whatever way makes sense. But you can kind of forego the save the date and just send out your wedding invitations a little bit earlier. So congratulations to all of you that are recently engaged. Wedding planning can be a little bit overwhelming and stressful, but it should also be a very enjoyable time in your life as well. So best of luck to all of you that are wanting to plan a wedding for the 2025 season. Hopefully you found this video helpful. If you did, please like and subscribe to get weekly videos on wedding planning tips and advice, and we'll see you next week.